Stunning.
It's lovely, isn't it? Come back to beach.
Daytona 660, quick verdict and rundown. What do I think? Longer video to follow on a big ride. Ooh, a big ride. Of course, I couldn't pick up a bike from Triumph without it being raining. So, my very first ride, I'm only 20 kilometers or so into the ride. And the first thing that strikes you about this Daytona 660, once you've sat on the bike and got used to the ergonomics, is the wonderful engine. It really is the reason why you'd buy this bike. Right, you've got to be quiet, right? Gonna sneak in the garage. Do not pass go. Don't go at the end where the other Daytona is. Made it. Yeah, careful now, careful. Hello, mate. Yeah, everything okay? Yeah, nothing to see here. Yeah, I can't get you out. Yeah, you can't get back here. So you just stay there. Yeah. Where have I been? Have I been? Nowhere. Yeah, just out for a walk. Yeah. Let's go through it. Now I'm back. What do I think? Right, styling, 9 out of 10. It's a looker. It's a lovely looking bike. Engine, 10 out of 10. That engine's everything. This bike, everything about this bike is the engine. Fantastic. Comfort. I'm going to split this into two. Seat comfort, ergonomics, peg, all that sort of stuff. I'm kind of going to give it an 8 out of 10. It's actually not too bad around this area. The seat is amazingly comfortable. It's brilliant. Like, I bought the comfort seat. I have the comfort seat there. I'm just going to say, yeah, don't rush out and buy it yet. This is really comfortable. I've been sitting on this bike for the last 5 or 6 hours now, and I'm fine. So that's the ergos, if you like, from the waist down. Reach to the bars. They don't look it in the picture when you're looking at the bike, but they're a reasonable stretch and they're quite far forward and kind of low. And but they really don't look it, but that's the feeling you get when you're riding it. So, bit of a pinch in the shoulders, bit of weight on the wrists. If you're sitting there at 70 on a dual carriageway, which really isn't where this bike is intended for, really, you take some of that pressure off you and it's okay. And you could sit on a motorway all day on this, because that fairing just takes all the pressure off. Something you wouldn't be doing day after day on a naked. But so look, if you need to blast for 3 or 4 hours up a motorway, yeah, it's actually fine for that. Me personally, I'd like those bars a bit higher. But look, that's because I'm in my 60s. So not every joint in my body might be that supple. I did get used to it as the day went on, to be honest. You just adjust to it, because it's just not a normal sitting position for me, coming off a GS or even my old Daytona, which I've put flat bars on it and all sorts of stuff like that. Yeah, I think the Daytona could easily take these some raised clip-ons, if you know what I mean. This is actually a nice little ergonomic 250. It's a nice bar height on this Kawasaki Ninja 250. So I'm going to kind of give the front end handlebar ergos 5 out of 10. Yeah, seat peg and all that sort of stuff. A good 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10 even. I like that side of it. Brakes, I'm going to give them a 9 out of 10. The front brake is fantastic. The rear brake is nothing special, nothing amazing. But I think that's kind of a good thing. Because of the way this bike handles, sometimes a little bit of rear brake comes in handy. And because it's not too sharp, that works out quite well. So the front brakes are brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. I absolutely love them. Lots of feel at the bar, lots of stopping power. I know it's a lighter bike, it's only 200 kilos, just over. Lots of stopping power, great feel at the lever. Love them to death. Love those brakes. Mirrors, you get a bit of your arms in them, to be perfectly honest. You kind of got to tuck them in a bit if you want a good look behind you. But they're clear, they don't seem to vibrate. Pretty much the whole day the roads have been wet and I've been riding in the drizzle. Michelin Power 6 tyres on there. Yeah, loved them. Yeah, they were fine. Lots of grip in the wet. It didn't bother me at all, so I'm pretty sure they're going to be damn good in the dry. Suspension. Right, I'm going to give the suspension I'm going to give the suspension 8 out of 10. But that's on the basis of marking it for what it is, not what it isn't. So look, if I was to compare it with a bike with fully adjustable suspension or even electronic suspension and all that sort of stuff, you know, it'd only get 5 out of 10. But I'm marking it on the basis of what it is. It's non-adjustable suspension front and rear. You've got some preload adjustment on the back. That's it. I'm just talking about how the suspension copes on this bike for the value that this bike is in, if you know what I mean, the value segment this bike's in. I think the suspension's great. You can get that rear end to move a fair bit, giving you quite a comfy ride on low speed damping and all that sort of stuff. So I'm definitely going to give the suspension an 8 out of 10, although it's virtually non-adjustable. Forks, these shower separate function forks, big piston. I've seen some people talk about saying this separate function is the compression damping in one leg and the rebound damping in another leg. That's not what it is. They're saving money and saving weight by having a spring in one leg and a damping mechanism in the other leg. And when they say big piston, all they mean is they're putting the damping mechanism, they're making the wall of it the actual fork stanchion here. So it allows them to have a bigger piston. So they're just calling it a big piston fork. It's nothing more complex than that, really. One thing I will say about the suspension, and I'll come on to this, I'm going to say handling, which I might be wrong if I said chassis, because I don't know why, and I think a lot of the road testers have picked up on this. I started to think a lot of the road testers were doing a bit of groupthink about the way this bike handled, and they were complaining a lot and stuff. But as soon as I started riding it, I knew what they were talking about. Now, look, they're all vastly more experienced than me. But for the first 50 kilometers of this bike, you really have to get a handle on how this bike handles, and you probably weren't expecting it to handle the way it does. And it's difficult to put it into words. It's not like it fights you or anything like that. You just have to have a little bit more thought to the handling, a little bit more thought to the steering. And so after the first 50 kilometers, I did jack up the rear preload, nose the bike down a little bit. Now, I'd expect that to happen anyway because I'm a heavy rider, so I would have done that anyway, but I've jacked it up to, you know, a fair bit up. And that made quite a bit of an improvement. But still, the bike handles in a particular way. I'm not saying you're fighting it, I'm not saying that for an instant. For your average road rider, I don't think they're going to care. But when you look at this bike and you see that kind of sports bike kind of image, you think this is going to be like a pin sharp bike. It's not. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's just not going to be. So I'm going to give it 2 marks for handling. I'm going to give it 5 out of 10 for handling. Now that sounds harsh. I'm going to give it 5 out of 10 for handling for somebody who's going to go for a test drive, who's going to pick this up from the dealer. The rear preload's going to be in the stock position, and you're going to go out for a ride and you're going to go, yeah, that's a bit, yeah, that's quite different. And then I'm going to give it a second score of 7.5 out of 10 for when you have jacked up the rear preload, 5 or 6 hours later, or not even that long, when you understand the nature of the bike and the way it wants to ride, and you've accepted that's the way the bike handles, and you've got a handle on it yourself and ride accordingly, then I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. And that's perfectly acceptable for the price that this bike comes in at. So I know what everyone's saying. I know what everyone's saying. And I'm trying not to say that as if it's a big, huge weakness. It's just quite different. But then I have to say, I've never ridden a bike that handles like that. And I don't want to over exaggerate it either, but it's instantly recognizable, and you just change the way you ride a little bit, I think. Like slow speed going through town and all that sort of stuff, you don't notice it. It's kind of when you're out in the open road. When you're out in big, long, sweeping bends, yeah, you don't really notice it. It's when you're trying to get it on a bit, yeah, you just have to pay attention. But by far, the biggest impact on this bike is this engine. It's absolutely addictive. Look, I'm still not out of the braking period, and you know, look, just once or twice I kind of, you know, use the revs. That 95 horsepower, you can just take off, you know. It's lovely, it's lovely. It's quite a powerful bike for its little size. Physically, it's a much smaller bike, of course, than the GS. But the seats are about the same size. It's a very comfortable seat, even the stock seat. I haven't even tried the comfort seat yet. But the wheelbase is only 85 mil shorter than that GS. So basically the thing's thinner, lower, lighter, obviously. That's not a criticism of the GS, that's just, you know, an observation. I've also got the My Triumph connectivity app fitted. I've probably tried 6 or 7 times now to connect my phone. I still can't get it to, I can't get the bike to see the phone Bluetooth wise. My phone can see this, but the dash can't see my phone. And you need to pair from the bike, not from the phone. I've been following the Triumph instructions. They come with a little app. That's fine. I don't know, we just have to keep trying on that one. What else? So rather than connect by Bluetooth, what you can do is connect by VIN number to this, to the Bluetooth connection. And when I put the VIN number in, it thinks this is a street triple. So I think somewhere Triumph have got a bug in their database of their VIN numbers. So, but even so, I put that in by the VIN number, comes up as a street triple, but that's still not doing the pairing. So I need to pair this via Bluetooth, so the app can take the data from this bike's computer, if you like, and populate it. I have kind of seen my phone, it's an iPhone, on the dash briefly, but I've not got past connecting it. When I connect it into accept on there, it just seems to kind of hang a bit on the phone. Look, we'll see. We'll get to the bottom of that one. I'm not too worried about that for now. But it is an expensive option. It's an expensive option for this bike, so it better bloody connect. Okay, this dash isn't anything to write home about really, compared to most of the others with the TFT. But you know, there's so little going on this bike. There's so little information for this dash to give you. It doesn't really need to be any bigger. The only thing I'll say is, yeah, the nav part of it might be quite limited. We'll see when that gets sorted, but it seems odd they've gone down this route. You'd almost think a straightforward TFT screen would be cheaper than this setup, but look, it does look nice. It's very shiny and it's kind of shiny black and stuff, but it is out of kilter with the rest. So it doesn't bother me because I'm not looking at it all the time really at the end of the day, but I can see it would put a few people off.